Alright, this is going to be a review on the Xtrfy M42, a $60 to $70 mouse depending on what colorway you get, 70 for the retro, which you can see what that looks like on the website, 60 for black, white, pink, and blue. People know this as the mouse you can take the back off of and replace it with another shape. We'll get into all that when we talk about the shape. But there are a few things I want to get out of the way before I even get into a sound test. This is a fully onboard mouse, so basically what that means is there's no software or drivers you download for this or updates or anything. It's a plug-and-play mouse. But that also means you have your DPI on the bottom. That means you can't go to like 500, 600. It's just 400, 800, and then I forgot what's past that. It's either 1200, 1600, and it goes like all the way up to like 16,000 or something like that. And then you have your polling rate. But there's no drivers or software for this. It does use a 3389. It comes in at 58 grams without cable, 62-ish with cable. And it does feel a lot lighter than that because it's a very like thin mouse. But we'll also get into that when we get into the shape. But this is going to be a sound test. Right and left click. Side buttons. Scroll wheel. So the right and left click use normal arm on 20Ms. They aren't very nice. They're okay. They do have a little. Here, I'll turn off the RGB. They do have a little bit of travel. I don't know if you're gonna actually be able to see this. A little bit of pre-travel and some decent post-travel. You do definitely feel it. They're a little bit inconsistent sometimes. Sometimes I'll wake up and they'll be like, oh my god, they're so tactile, nice. And then they'll be just really weak after I've been using them for a little bit. So they're just normal 20Ms. That's what you'd expect. The side buttons are really, really nice though. They feel just like the Ultralight 2 side buttons. Literally almost identical. But they don't protrude out that much. They're very light, they're very tactile, they're very crispy. Not much travel at all, pre or post. The scroll wheel. It's just an Xtrfy scroll wheel. If you don't know how an Xtrfy scroll wheel feels, it's like in between a Rockcat Cone Pure Ultra scroll wheel and an Ultralight or a Final Mouse scroll wheel. It's like dead in the middle basically. It's very smooth like a Final Mouse scroll wheel, but it's also very tactile like a Rockcat scroll wheel, if that makes sense. I don't think that's making sense. It's a very light scroll wheel is what I'm trying to say. It's not like, yeah, it's a scroll wheel. It's a nice scroll wheel. The coating, it's just normal matte coating. Nothing really to talk about with it. There are a ton of holes on the mouse on the sides. So if you don't like holes, obviously you should probably stay away. But now actually getting on to the interesting part. The shape. The shape is personally not my shape that I really enjoy. You can take the backs off, but it's kind of like a gimmick in a way. I'll get into that in a second. But the way that the mouse is shaped, there's no, here, I'll put the small back on actually so you can see it a little bit better. It's a very straight mouse. There's literally no curvature. If I take out my Viper Mini, okay, you can see it indents here. You see it protrudes out and then it indents right in the middle and then protrudes out again. Whereas with this mouse, it's straight all the way through. It's the exact same all the way through the mouse. All the way through. Now what that means is if you're clawing, you're really not going to be able to get a comfortable grip. You're just not. But if you're fingertipping, it's going to be really nice. Now the humps do make they do feel different. But they don't, I don't know. In my opinion, when I was fingertipping it, I didn't even use the back because I couldn't claw it. It's one of the first mice I just couldn't claw. The shape was just not good for claw, in my opinion. There was no curves. There was no comfortable place to put your finger. But out of the humps, I did prefer the smaller one, the FK style hump, which is not an FK style. Basically what it is here. I'll show it on the mouse. It has the middle of an FK right here, like down the middle, or like a Viper Ultimate. But the sides have like these poles that also come up. So while the middle is very flat, the sides are not flat. You can feel the sides. So it's kind of like your hands on an uneven surface where it's balancing like on the side, but then the middle is like indented. It's really weird. It wasn't the best implementation I think they could have made on a on the low profile side. And then the ZA series side doesn't feel like a ZA at all. It just feels like a ballpoint pen or a golf ball in your hand. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like, it's actually nice for claw if I was able to claw it. But since I couldn't claw it, if I was going to use the hump, I had to use the FK style hump because the hump is actually pretty big once you put the backside on. Compared to this. So, getting that out of the way. Oh, also, it does have a very low button height. One of the lowest I think I've actually seen. And some finger grooves. But those don't really matter. But it's kind of disappointing, actually, that the shape wasn't very good for me. Or I don't think it's going to be very good for any claw in general. But I guess okay. But I'm going onto the cable. You can see me fidgeting with it the whole time. It's the worst implementation of cable. Like, look at this. Like, it's really, I don't know how this is, like, even a cable. It's really bad. I would rather use a Logitech rubber cable. That's how I feel about this cable. They said that they won't go any softer because paracords break too often. So apparently they won't go any softer. So any future Xtrfy mice, I guess, expect this cable, which is a really big letdown. But whatever. The feet are really just average PTFE feet. They are not rounded, so they are scratchy right here, 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 and here. You can feel them. They're not rounded at all, but they aren't the worst stock feet. They feel just like the Viper Mini feet, almost identical. Yeah, almost identical. Where is my Viper Mini? Yeah, literally almost identical to the Viper Mini feet. Maybe even a little bit more scratchy. Yeah, no, they're definitely a little bit more scratchy than the Viper Mini feet. Sorry. Yeah, they're a little bit a little bit more scratchy than the Viper Mini feet. Jesus, there. But who would I recommend this mouse for? Fingertip users. This is a dream fingertip mouse. Don't get me wrong. This is a very, very nice fingertip mouse. But claw, I just can't. I can't get it. I just can't. It's not very long either. It does look kind of long in this, but it's really not. But yeah, this is definitely a fingertip dream mouse. But for clawing, no, it just doesn't work in my opinion. But that's gonna be the end of this video. Peace.